One question that has kept theologians busy for eons is the problem called theodicy, understanding the presence of evil in light of the existence of God. This discussion happens on many levels. We are most familiar with it as, why do bad things happen to good people? If God is just and holy and good, then why do evil and misery even exist? This is a hard set of questions for believers to resolve. History's most famous analysis of this problem of evil goes all the way back to the ancient Greek philosopher Epicurus, another of my personal heroes, some 3 centuries before the Christian Gospels were even written. Is God willing to prevent evil but not able? Then he is not omnipotent. Is he able but unwilling? Then he is malevolent. If he is both able and willing, then whence cometh evil? If he is neither able nor willing, then why call him God? Evil is often seen as a force in opposition to good, the two sort of forming a yin and yang, or 2 poles of the moral magnet. Sometimes it is explained as the bailiwick of a Satan, the work of the devil. Personally, I always held that evil is not a force or a tendency, but that it is just a characteristic that we attach to immoral, amoral, and unethical choices made by persons. Although today I'm arguing with myself because I have trouble not viewing Putin's actions in Europe as the result of some force of evil. Defining evil as its own thing, a force, it creates a conundrum for the believer who needs to explain why their God would allow and create such a force as evil. Either God or the universal laws of nature created other forces like gravity and magnetism, but why would he or she or it, a good and perfect being, create a force that opposes their own essence? One answer might be that God didn't create evil, because evil in and of itself is only the absence of goodness, like darkness being the absence of light, cold, the absence of heat. But this doesn't ring very true. We all experience bad things that are something more than just not enough good things. Pain and harm are brought on persons with intention, rendered by other persons, or by impersonal forces like the weather or the pandemic. The standard response in Christianity came to follow an understanding saying that God is perfect, but humanity is not. God created humans with free will and moral agency, and we are able to choose whether to follow God's will, that is goodness, which is supposedly godliness, some other moral path, or life actively dedicated to anti-goodness. This is where I sort of throw up my hands in this discussion, and I cry foul. Because with all this religious talk and all these workarounds, for the most part, religion ends up with the same understanding of evil and morality, at least for humans, as that held by atheists or other secularists. Good versus evil is a choice. We might differ a little bit on what the payoff is, but the fact is, it's always our choice. Our job is to find a way in this world and to decide the right way to act, and to relate to one another, to engage with other species, and to manage our planet. Our agency is what matters. We decide for ourselves, and we try to influence decisions of others. We might see the world differently because some of us understand that our purpose here is related to pleasing God and honoring God's will. But the rest of us see our purpose still as finding ways to justify doing pretty much the same things for reasons that emerge solely from personal experience and social attachment. In my view, then, any focus on this problem of evil is a distraction that keeps us away from the far more important things we should be worrying about, such as how do we address and understand goodness in our lives and in the world? And how do we grow goodness in ourselves? What is good? How do we know good? Well, I will start with the sheer fact of existence and the fact that there is an us at all. However you look at it, our lives are miracles. Life itself is so improbable, so special, that it proved difficult to conceive of it without thinking of a creator and a plan. Life is to be held up as a cause for joy, a source for wonder, and an object of reverence. This usually promotes an innate desire to give thanks, to feel grateful, whether or not we understand who or what should receive our thanks. From many different traditions. Here is Black Elk, a Lakota Sioux. Hear me, 4/4 of the world, a relative I am. Give me the strength to walk the soft earth. Give me the eyes to see and the strength to understand. This is my prayer. Hear me. And then Neil deGrasse Tyson, the modern astrophysicist. The most astounding fact is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up my human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked elements, that stars exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy, forming planets with the ingredients for life itself. When I look at the night sky, I know, yes, we are part of this universe. We are in this universe, and the universe is in us. My atoms come from those stars. And then the biologist, Ursula Goodenough, realizing that I needn't have answers to all of the big questions, has served as an epiphany. Mystery generates wonder, and wonder generates awe. The gasp can terrify, or the gasp can emancipate. As I allow myself to enjoy cosmic and quantum mystery, I join the saints and the visionaries in their experience of what they call the divine, and I pulse with their spirit, if not their words. Different minds, different worldviews, all thrilled by the simple glory of existence, all extolling the beauty of life and of perceiving and our awareness of this life. And so we come to grace. In the Christian climate, grace was typically seen as a gift of God. And some of us might hesitate at using the word because of that context. Just like evil, though, grace may come from God or it may not. But whatever its source, it is something we do all experience. What distinguishes grace from other good stuff is that it is given. You don't go and get it, you don't earn it, you don't deserve it, or bring it onto yourself. The bumper sticker just says, grace happens. And so it does. And because we experience grace rather than control it, it serves to remind us that we are connected to life and existence that is outside of ourselves, that is beyond our control. Moments of grace, experiences of grace, they can be transcendent and lead us to feelings of awe and wonder. They can evoke spiritual feelings, bring us to a sense of belonging and worth. Moments of grace bring us what feels precious in life, from beyond the realm of reason and design. Graceful feels good. Sometimes we just get lucky when things go our way. A windfall. We take a risk, it pays off. Now that's good fortune. We can get better at managing risk and directing fortune, assessing information, and deciding strategies for life that bring us more successes. And so in this way, we can learn how to guide some outcomes and heighten the likelihood of success, however we define it. Sometimes we figure things out, but sometimes we just learn by watching by things happening. Now, I used to coach girls soccer for a lot of years. And when I started, the girls were young, about 6. And now, if you've ever had children or grandkids of your own, you might be familiar with how 6-year-olds play soccer. Some term it amoebas, because they all gravitate to the ball and form sort of a pulsing mass that gradually moves around the field, or off the field for that matter. Now, as a coach, trying to get the idea that this is a game in their heads, I tried to instill some sense of strategy, field placement, space, but with little success. They wanted to chase the ball. Then one day, an aha moment occurred, both for me and for one little girl named Monica. In addition to being one of the worst offenders at blobbing, Monica was also a really crummy shoe tire. Every time I saw loose laces, I yelled, "Monica, stop and tie your shoe." And she was an agreeable kid, and she always stopped, smiled, and said, "Oh," and promptly knelt down to tie her shoe. Well, one day in the course of a game, this happened 3 separate times. And each time I yelled, "Monica, stop and tie your shoe," she did just that. And each time, as the crowd of kids moved on away from her, the ball popped loose and rolled right to her as she knelt on the ground. By stopping and removing herself from the flow, she earned the solo control of the ball that is the intent of the whole game, 3 different times. And after that, she began to visualize the value of position and space in the field. Now, this was not a profound moment in the world. Monica never became very adept at soccer, and I think she moved on to Velcro shoes. But it paints a great picture of what is possibility and how we can find it. Good things happen, whether it's Monica getting the ball, someone we care about finding the right job, receiving a medical diagnosis before a condition is threatening, or being outdoors at night to witness a display of the northern lights. You can all make your own lists of good things you would like to see. Sometimes we make great efforts to steer our lives towards these outcomes, and sometimes we just get lucky. We find manna from heaven, where what you most need just appears from on high, or almost as if from on high. We might say that these processes differ greatly, and in some ways they do, but one way that they are all the same is that you can only reap a benefit from the good things, no matter why they transpire, if you are ready and able to receive them. This is not so much a matter of being prepared, but of being perceptive being aware of what is happening around you and open to possibility when things arise. It is rare that either good news or bad news comes to us packaged in ways that we fully expect or understand. And it is up to us to be facile and flexible and prepared to adjust our expectations and habits when they do. The notion of karma, loosely, what goes around comes around, embodies this. People who behave in an open and positive way and who are receptive to the world around them are more likely to run into pleasant experiences, while people who are closed and dismissive or selfish are far less likely to find rewards for these postures. We might find grace in many ways. The writer Kathleen Norris asks, if grace is so wonderful, why do we have such difficulty recognizing and accepting it? She continues, maybe it's because grace is not gentle or made to order. It often comes disguised as a loss or a failure or unwelcome change. And Anne Lamott observed, I do not understand the mystery of grace, only that it meets us where we are and does not leave us where it found us. Both of these women know something that they call grace, while not knowing it by its form, but by its effect on their lives. These transformative experiences might be called grace, but they're really defined by how they influence us. If they are gifts because we're prepared to be moved. Now, at the beginning of this talk, my prototypical example held up as an experience of grace was our awareness of life itself. I would be hard put to see much grace in a begrudging and onerous lifetime. Those of us who've grown and whine our way through each day don't feel or know the grace of life. But a positive and engaging attitude opens doors to a wide plethora of mutual reinforcing benefits. Somehow, many of us learn to elevate our being through the way we hold the world around us. For example, the world feels different when you are in love, and it feels different to those who have known love. Love is a gift of grace because it exists outside the realm of being earned, and it resists being claimed. Yet it captures and holds our imaginations in life-altering ways. The world feels different to those of us that find purpose and define mission and defined call in our lives, and to those that pursue lofty goals. When we engage in seeing and connecting to what is positive, we are far more likely to see events as awe-inspiring and wonderful. Sometimes we know this as holding the divine, touching our spirit, or knowing God. I would guess that many such experiences involve human nature, human love, or both. The birth of your child, or your child's child, a special place, a warm breeze, or a sunset. The serenity of holding the hand of a beloved, or settling in the lap of a parent or lover. Almost always we enter the deep feeling and the personal growth that these moments bring to us because we are ready to own and know the emotions they evoke in us. And while the feelings may be private, they are rarely just personal. In some ways, we must acknowledge that we are dependent, connected, and defined by parts of the world well beyond ourselves. We are travelers, bound inextricably with others, fully interdependent with and connected to so much that happens around us. We are happier, we are more fulfilled when we make space for grace and when we feel able to open doors when wonder comes knocking. Mary Oliver, and I think it's always Mary, said in her own special way in the poem, The World I Live In, I have refused to live locked in the orderly house of reasons and truth. The world I live in and believe in is wider than that. And anyway, what's wrong with maybe? You wouldn't believe what once or twice I have seen. I'll just tell you this. Only if there are angels in your head will you ever possibly see one. That is really all I've been trying to say this morning. So let's all take a deep cleansing breath, relax a moment, find our center, and go looking for our own angels. So be it. Blessed be. Amen. Asher.